Hey there everybody, and welcome back to more Silent Hill 4. The last time we had a little forest expedition, met a new buddy, and had a little visit to an orphanage. Let's see if anything's on the radio. Sadly, no. No entertaining commercial spots for us. But yeah, we had a little heated discussion, I suppose you could call it, with Jasper, and well, he died, which is truly sad, because it's a waste of chocolate milk, but we did get a new placard, and not much else. Still a bit clueless on the story, but let's, maybe something interesting's going on outside. I have no earthly idea what triggers some things when you look through the peephole, but it's a never-ending source of amusement. Speaking of amusement, let's go see what's waiting for us in the bathroom. Why, it appears that the hole is continuing to grow larger. And something that some of you may have already noticed is that, well, we can kind of hear children's voices coming out of the hole. Well, where do we find ourselves this time? Appears there's a lot of tiling, dripping water. A few pipes. God, I hope we're not in a sewer. Please, God, no. Maybe this note will elucidate.
Get me out. Get me the hell out.
I'll be in there in a second. I got a note to read. Let's see. Someone has escaped from a cell. It's mention of a first floor basement with a kitchen and a death chamber. Maybe we are not in a sewer. That would be truly wonderful. But hey,
Get me the hell out of here.
maybe this guy knows where we are.
He's gonna kill me. Walter's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me.
Well, the door's locked, so I guess that's tough tits for you, buddy. But yeah, after we actually examine one of these adjacent rooms, well, it becomes a bit more obvious where we are right now. The single bunk, the awful toilet, and the squirming amoebas, it's gotta be a prison.
Get me out.
And with that one gentleman's mention of Walter, well, we've only heard one mention of Walter so far, and that was Walter Sullivan. Also, you may notice as we enter these different cells, you can actually see a person. Whoa. Yeah, don't worry about these guys. These are, well, they're called toadstools. And they do damage if you walk into them, but they don't really have any attacks per se, so they're not really that much of an enemy. But yeah, you may notice as we enter some of these cells, you can actually see the shadow of a person walking around, and actually not sure who or where that person might be. Hopefully, they're not some horrible monster, right? Yeah, that'd be unexpected. And in case you couldn't figure that out on your own, we'll be getting a few subtle hints as we progress through this prison. But by looking at our map, we can tell, well, obviously it's circular, and that we've kind of exhausted our options for this floor. And, well, we are going to have to help that gentleman out at some point, but first we have another note to read. And this one is, well, just kind of laying out the lay of the land, if you will. Mentions a second floor, and we've already gotten word of a basement floor, and also a third floor. And, well, there's a mention of lights, and, well, it's going to be just the tip of the iceberg for the puzzle that's going to be laying ahead for us. First, though, we do have a few doors to go through, but instead, I think I want to go back to the apartment really quick, for no discernible reason. And what is the TV doing on? That is pretty spooky, but oh, we got another note waiting for us under the door. Very reminiscent of the other two red pages that we have found underneath the door. This one goes a bit more in depth into whomever was trying to look into the background of Silent Hill. They also apparently were looking into the background of Walter Sullivan. Apparently they were doing some type of story on him in regards to his killing. Now, Walter Sullivan was vaguely brought up in Silent Hill 2, and most of this I'm sure wasn't actual backstory back then, but it seems he had a knack of carving 5-digit numbers into people, along with his name. And wouldn't you know it, that kind of coincides with some of the dead bodies we've been running into through our different journeys into the bathroom hole. Now you might be wondering who Frank was arguing with. I have no earthly idea. You can literally watch him do that forever. And I know I could. But we got things to do back in the prison. Now the right door right now is currently locked, but well, we got a different avenue to take. And though I do want to run through a gauntlet of wall men, there's a much easier route to take. Yeah, something we will be seeing a lot of as we progress through the prison are really nice shortcuts, because we will be needing them. There actually is another ladder nearby, but by running down these stairs, we find a nice new item. I think I will take the St Medallion. Now, the St Medallion is actually our first anti-ghost weapon, if you will. By wearing this along with a weapon, it actually pretty much nullifies the damage aura of a ghost, slows them down, and makes them fairly weak. The only problem is, wearing it for an extended amount of time, well, it'll break. So we only have a limited supply of those over the course of the game. Gotta be careful. And by venturing down into the basement, we find a rather large wheel, a couple of moth bats, but our main focus down here is a rather hard to see key. There it is. Very easy to miss. And wouldn't you know it, it's an exit key, so we can pretty much leave this place whenever we want. Also, we have a plate that will give us a little bit of instructions regarding, well, how to turn the lights on the 3rd floor. Now, as to why we need to know that, well, we'll figure that out soon enough. All we need to know is that the only way to get the lights running is to get this water wheel moving. And, well, considering this place is called the Water Prison, hopefully it won't be too hard to figure that out. And outside of a hole back to the apartment, there's just this one other door here, which leads to, I guess, the generator room. And a very large door. In fact, a deceptively huge door. Jesus. And a very awkward sentence. I can't open it very wide. Yeah, let's get away from awkward grammar. Yeah, now that we have the water prison exit key, which is actually, the more I say it, water prison exit key, the stupider it sounds. Yeah, we're gonna have to head back up to the 1st floor, and that allows me to show off the relative wonderfulness of shortcuts. And look at that, we just cut out 3 to 4 minutes of running through wallmen. And it's time to smell the sweet air of freedom. Or the rank, foggy sea air of entrapment. Yeah, as to where this prison might be, some would have assumed it might have been somewhere in Toluca Lake, considering that there was a mention of a prison back in Silent Hill 2, which James Sunderland actually visited, but getting a look around, it doesn't really seem like Toluca Lake would be this big. But as we venture up to the 2nd floor, we meet another new, I really don't even want to call these things enemies. These are called trimmers? Tremars? It may be French, it might be tremor. But, yeah, they're really useless. They are on par with the toadstools. They take very little damage. Their only attack is to explode, which does really no damage, and we'll get a nice another little note here. Very informative. You know, Henry has actually been mentioning a lot as we've been reading these that they're shoddily ridden, almost childlike. I wonder why that might be. But yeah, trimmers don't really have many means of attack. They'll fall on you, and like I said, they'll kind of make a short little explosion at you, but otherwise they're not really that much of a threat. The only threat they pose is, well, kind of hogging your aiming, which is kind of cumbersome, as we'll see later. But a few bottles filled with black powder. Not really sure what that might be an allusion to, but we also find another interesting piece of writing. Yeah. And we run into an entire wall of toadstools, and there we see that little explosion attack. Oh my god, that was terrifying, I guess. But, yeah, let's not even fight our way through that horde of toadstools, because all they're blocking is a locked door. So, not too much on the second floor. And though I know you guys want to see me run around the outside of this wonderful cylindrical tower, let's not do that and just go up to the roof. Because if you remember, well, on the roof is where the sluice is. But yet again, this halo of the sun door just won't open. Thankfully, though, if you have an inquisitive mind and you do a little bit of exploring, you'll find that the actual sluice lever is actually on the back of the tower. And with the water flowing, hopefully all the way back downstairs to the basement, that means that the light should now be on in the third floor. Which is actually the only floor we have left to explore, so hopefully we can actually get something figured out, because I'm a bit lost. Yeah, that's a bit one of the drawbacks to the entire prison area is, well, as you've been able to tell, every floor is, well, pretty much a carbon copy of the next floor. The only differences are the actual cells themselves, and, well, telling those apart can be a bit difficult. And, I wonder what's in this room. Let's go check out this room. couple more notes. Hopefully they are relevant. More mentions of a surveillance room, and I guess the prison guards aren't really being receptive to the danger that, well, if the bullet stain tells me anything, it's that, well, the inmates probably ran into some issues. And we get another mention of the death chamber that is adjacent to the kitchen, which apparently was used to, well, force feed the prisoners each other. But, oh god. What the hell are you supposed to be? Oh shit. Yeah, say hello to probably the creepiest enemy in the game so far. This twin-headed abomination without legs is actually called the Twin Victims. And as to why it's called that, we'll be finding that out a bit later. But they are very large, they are actually deceptively fast, and in comparison to the other things we'll be running into in a prison, they're probably the most dangerous. Thankfully though, if you stay on top of them, they're not that hard to take care of. The only real danger here is from all the trimmers that will kind of take away your aiming for the actual enemy that is the danger. And you better believe that box of pistol bullets was totally worth it. See, deceptively fast. Also, their reach, a lot better than yours. Yeah, you really have to run up to them and just start whacking away at them because, well, they're actually pretty easy to stun lock. Just be very wary because much like sniffer dogs, they do come in packs, which is where they really, really become a danger. But as you may have been able to tell, well, we have been actually running into a few cells with holes in the floors, and, well, we've kind of exhausted our available rooms to explore, so not really much other choice than to try to jump down a hole and see where it might take us. This is completely different. Let's try that again. Alright, the third time's a charm, I'm sure. Because that will actually bring us to a brand new area. And it's a bad area. Jesus. Yeah, that room can actually be a pretty tricky trap to deal with because waiting in that room are two twin victims. And that room is not very good camera angle wise. You will, you might as well be juggled to death if you don't happen to know what's coming and just run out of the room. But now that we are near the basement, well, as we take this ladder up, we actually find ourselves in the surveillance room. Yeah, each one of these portcullis looking things are actually windows into each cell. And we are going to need to know what's in, well, almost each one of these cells to figure out the puzzle ahead. Because as we read this document, well, we do get a bit of insight into, I guess, the guards of the prison. And the fact that there were actually children imprisoned here. Not only imprisoned, but, well, starved to death and allowed to turn into smelly little gray lumps. That's great. But we also get an idea that they hired some probably demented engineers and orchestrated, well, holes in floors to allow easy disposing of child corpses. And that somehow or another, that this entire tower can rotate floor by floor. That certainly sounds, incredibly fucking stupid. But that's okay. Yeah, we are apparently going to have to solve a puzzle where in one of these rooms is a bloodied bed, and we're going to have to line that up. And wouldn't you know it, the closest hole that we can take a look through, yep. Bloody figure on a bed, there's a hole. And, well, if we read the note, which we did, it actually said the first floor could not be rotated, so we're going to have to orient the second and third floor with the first floor. And with this second journal, we get, well, what can be considered the second piece of the puzzle, which is the fact that the prison apparently only had lights installed on the third floor, which we have turned on. The problem is that, well, in similar idiotic fashion, aka psychological torture for the kids, they made it so that the only way the first and second floor could get light was to, well, line up the corpse holes. So, yeah, not only are we going to have to line up the bloodied beds, but we're going to have to make sure that all three floors are lined up so that light will come down. Because, well, yet again, we'll find that out in just a little bit. I just want to make sure it just kind of sets in that we're in a cylindrical prison in the middle of a huge body of water, and 2 out of the 3 floors can be rotated so that children's corpses can be thrown down. So, yeah. And on the final floor, we get one last very important memo. And that is the secret number to the death chamber we've been hearing about. The death chamber next to the kitchen. Subtlety has been thrown out the window. But if you were wondering how we were going to make this goofy-ass tower turn in a circle, well, we have a handy-dandy lever. And by turning that lever, we've not only done one very special thing, and that's not freeing our sweatpants-laden gentleman. No, that's just kind of a side effect. What we have actually done is something, well, a bit secret. But to find out what we actually did, we have to do what kind of makes this place rather annoying.
Making me stand in there anymore. Make me stay in there. I can't make me inside. Take me inside. Make me stay in there. God, please. Come on, let me out of here. So I didn't die in here. Make me stay in there, Walt. Walter, I'm telling you, walk away. boy. And who are you? His name's Walter. Walter Sullivan. I used to work at the orphanage watching the kids. I'm Andrew DeSalvo. They tried to make it seem like an orphanage, but according to that town's holy scriptures, it was actually the center of their religion. And that kid Walter, he was really into that mumbo-jumbo. Especially that descent of the Holy Mother business. It was scary. Oh, God. Oh my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So we get the name of the gentleman that was locked up, Andrew DeSalvo, and we also get a rather confusing piece of information, which was the little boy is Walter Sullivan. Very strange. I figured he would have been much older from all the murders. But I decided to go ahead and warp us back up to the 3rd floor because, well, we're going to have to do a little bit of jumping. That's right. After going through the middle part, we then had to go all the way back down to the basement and then all the way back up to the 3rd floor to get a very special weapon. The stun gun. Yeah, the stun gun makes a return from Silent Hill 3. And in this one, it actually is a little bit better because it doesn't require ammunition, but it does have a few drawbacks. I'll be showing that off later. For right now, we actually do need to go ahead and finish up this water prison puzzle, which, well, it's kind of halfway solved right now. We're just missing one key component. And we see here, this is actually, well, it's a bit of a variant on the toadstool. Still as completely useless as its red counterpart. But if you notice from the locale we are in, we're actually in the cafeteria, which means death chamber. And on the death chamber door, we find a new placard. The watchfulness placard. I guess that does make sense since we're in a prison and prison guards would be watching over the children. But we actually can't get in the death chamber door just yet because, well, it's too dark. Yeah, that's why they were bringing up the light source on the 3rd floor because, well, how else is the cafeteria going to be lit if you don't line up the corpse holes all the way on each 3 floors? I mean, come on. It's basic engineering. Or architecture, I should say. And you know what that means? It means it's, you know, back up to the 3rd floor. Thankfully, though, the cafeteria is right next to the surveillance room, which I assume means the kids had easy access to the surveillance room, but I'm not going to read into that. Instead, what we are going to do is, well, we're going to line up those bloodied beds like we should have in the first place. No bloodied bed in there. I think I'm actually pretty close, though. And there we are. So, quite simply, all you have to do for the 2nd floor is turn the lever 4 times in either direction. And through the power of editing, you didn't have to say the other 3 times, so be very happy. And we now have the 2nd floor bloodied bed in place. And thankfully, the 3rd floor is, well, a lot easier to get in place because it's merely 2 turns to the right. And all you had to do to get the stun gun was simply turn the lever once to the right, so, well, just one more time and we'll have the puzzle fully finished. And now it's just time to make sure we have the beds lined up. Yep, everything is in place. And just take a little quick edit back down in the cafeteria. And with the number we got on the 3rd floor, we should now have access to the death chamber. So, with Andrea DeSalva murdered off-screen, no answers really being fulfilled, and, well, a rather goofy area finished. Guess it's, what is that? In the bathroom? You know, the game does manage to do some pretty stupid crap sometimes, but yeah, sometimes it just does things very, very effectively. But we do have another placard in our inventory, and oh, I have another note underneath the door. Let's go ahead and check that out.
I'm sure I heard something in there.
Now, this particular note is very interesting in that, well, it's actually alluding to something that we're going to be finding in the next update. It's a mentioning of, well, some type of sword that is actually apparently very good against the ghosts. And so far, all we've gotten is one St Medallion, and, you know, that's not really going to last us. Maybe we will come across one of these swords. Or, as the person who's written this says, there's actually 5 swords in total. Maybe we will be finding all 5 swords. Also, it seems like I'm hearing some voices. I wonder who's outside.
How's it going with room 302?
Well, I just tried to open it up, but it looks like something's blocking it from the inside.
Huh.
Anyway, It's not the first time.
You mean the guy who lived here before?
And it wasn't just him either. There's something wrong with his whole apartment.
Don't say that. You're scaring me.
Well, anyway, I just slipped a note under his door. Don't worry about it too much. There are a lot of strange things in this world. The umbilical cord I keep in a box in my room. Lately, it's started to smell terrible.
Huh? Umbilical cord?
Oh, well, I forget I said anything.
But still. Those noises.
And somehow the water prison level seems suddenly less stupid. But yeah, let's see what Frank has to say in his note. Well, we can't actually read his note. It's covered in blood and illegible. Probably from handling the umbilical cord he keeps in his closet. What the fuck? Yeah, I think with that, it's time to call it a video. See you next time for more Silent Hill 4 The Room.